All right. So happy to be here with Christopher Shaw, who has just taken me through the most incredible week in Mexico of his sacred earth and plant medicine retreat with Merkaba I just wanted to kind of, after, like now that I'm home, obviously, to catch up with him and kind of download everything that I experienced and share with you at home, why you might want to consider this. Because I got to tell you, as evidenced by my books and much of my YouTube channel, I have really been processing and working through a lot of my personal trauma, and this was a complete game changer. This put everything into a different perspective where I don't even feel like I have trauma. I feel like I have healed all of the story, all of the negative thoughts, all of the crazy that comes along with, extreme PTSD and other issues that I myself have struggled with for a very long time. So, Christopher Shaw, I am just so pleased that you are here again in my life today. I just want to thank you so much for everything you've done for me. You have changed my life.
You're so welcome, Dale. It was such an honor to be able to be your guide during our special week together. Forever bonded, brothers forever. And I am just so excited to see you and to see you integrating back into life as we know it in the
Yeah.
real world, which can be tough, right? It can be tough. After it's like, you go through this experience and you come back like a little infant, and just the world is new and it's fresh and we're sensitive and um and there's a lot to handle. So welcome back. Welcome back to Earth. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. And yeah, I think we should share, with the world a little bit about just certain aspects of the retreat for you. Like the first thing that comes to mind is I know that like going into this, you definitely had some fear, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
I was wondering if you could share a little bit about what were some of your top fears that you had going into your retreat, and how were those alleviated once you
Yeah.
got?
I mean, first of all, like my experience with, alternative substances and things like this is very limited to street drugs. And so I didn't really understand the difference between drugs and medicines, especially sacred medicines. So I had this fear because I had experienced darkness, sometimes with street drugs. And I didn't know if there was going to be an element of that was present while I was doing this. So I had some fear around that. I didn't want to have like a bad trip, or I didn't want to have a negative experience. And from the onset, I was completely made aware that what you're doing is not drugs. Like what you are, offering is really very loving. Like the energy signature of everything I experienced was just allowing me to relax into my truth. It wasn't there to change me. It wasn't there to provide even an alternative experience other than to kind of pull back the veil of my own personal lies and illusions that I was holding on to, especially around my generational trauma that has just been going on since the beginning of time, like way back. And I was able to really see all of that. I was able to reframe my relationship with my mother, who I often experienced as abusive. And so the loving nature of these things was a surprise to me because I had no data point for what that means for what that experience might be. So if you at home have had a negative experience with drugs, understand this is not that. This is very different. I mean, even the whole mushrooms and doing it in a ceremonial way, while if you may have like experienced mushrooms to trip and, do drugs and go to Coachella and all that, this is not that in any way. This is not that. And until you've had like someone like Christopher facilitate and walk you through step by step, there's a reason why he does it in this way. There's a reason for the ceremony. There's a reason why there's all this prep to bring you up to that threshold. So while it feels, nerve-wracking to walk through that door, Ultimately, now that I'm on the other side of it, there really is no reason to be fearful. Even the stuff that feels like, when you have to purge or throw up or whatever else, which because it's part of it, it is you're not sick. You don't feel sick. It's just part of the release of what you're experiencing. So that was the biggest surprise to me, is just in understanding the difference between, drugs and medicines.
Absolutely, absolutely. My mentor Richie says that the medicines are to pray, not to play,
Yeah.
right? And I love that phrase. It as an addict in recovery, I have to. That's something to remember, right? Because for those of us that are in recovery that embark upon our own plant medicine healing journeys, we have to be careful because if we return home from our retreats and we start playing with the medicine, then that could be kind of very, relapsey behavior. We don't necessarily want to move into that. But if we're, using the sacred medicines to heal and to pray or meditate or deepen our spiritual practices, that's kind of what they're intended for, right? I also, when I was in college, had my first mushroom experience, which was outside in a pool and very childlike and very fun, but very different, right? And I've also had very dark, 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 dark experiences on dark, very dark drugs like crystal meth and cocaine and alcohol and marijuana, other drugs that just did not work for me in my active addiction, because well, let's just say that I wasn't using them in a sacred ceremony. And so things are very different when you come on one of the retreats because from the moment that you sign up for your retreat, the healing begins. It's very interesting how the medicine works, from another realm. It's like your healing begins, right? And I am already creating the sacred energetic container for your retreat way before you even get here, right? And so when you come here and you're here and you can feel this the beauty of the space and the vibration of the space, immediately your body is like, oh, right? You're
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm I'm good. I feel safe here. Like this is good. This is good because you don't necessarily know what to expect coming to a foreign land in these weird times and not, ever being here before and not knowing where you're going to sleep and what you're going to eat and sometimes you can't even speak the language and so there's a lot of, anxiety that can come up about coming to Mexico, but it's actually really easy to get here, to Puerto Vallarta. And flights right now are so cheap because it's off season, and it's actually a beautiful time of year to be here. And you don't need a visa, Americans. You don't need a visa to come to Mexico right now. That's a myth. So you can just but you do need a passport, so you can just hop on a plane, come down here. But you're here, right? And when we kind of ease you into the experience. You arrive. I pick you up at the airport, or one of my alumni assistants would pick you up at the airport. And then we go have a big family lunch because you're probably going to be starving by that point because you've been up for a while and very hungry. So we have a nice, beautiful Mexican lunch. Come back, and then you get settled in your accommodations, whether that be here at my house or at the Airbnb that we're doing the retreat at. Just really depends on your retreat. But for Dale, he was able to stay here with me, and so after lunch, we came here and we got settled. And then we went into our first opening night ceremony, which was some sound healing with the sound bowls and singing and mantra. And rape was the plant medicine that we used during the first night, or hape, as it's often called in South America. And rape is a blend of tobacco and ceremonial ashes. And usually there's some plants mixed into it, various plants for different things. There's a lot of different types of rapes that are made primarily by South American, native tribes. And a lot of them have different vibrations. Some of them are feminine, some of them are masculine, some of them are they if you go to certain websites like sacredsnuff.com, you can kind of get a look at all these different kinds of raw pay, and they talk about their energies and vibrations and so forth. But for the first night, we do raw pay, which is weird, right, Dale? It's like I
Yeah.
have a ice and I it's like a powder, right? And I blow it into your nose, and it's like you don't inhale it, but it just kind of flows through your nose and like comes out like a cloud. And what happened when I did that? What did you feel?
Well, I was shocked at first, and then I didn't know what was happening exactly. And it was such an interesting experience. And by the way, I'm so grateful that you like slow walked me through all of this.
Mm,
Like even starting with this was a great way to kind of like introduce me to kind of more mind opening experiences. And with that, I was so, I mean, first of all, physically, it was just a little bit hard to adjust to because you can't breathe through your nose while you're doing it. So, you know,
yeah.
uh, just to hold myself in that space and just breathe through my mouth and just let my mind kind of flatten, right? And
Mm,
that was kind of the experience that I was having. I was like, what's going on here? As all the noise kind of like flattened into just the present, and everything was just a little bit more available and aware to me because the background noise of my mind was kind of gone.
yeah. Absolutely. And then we did the other nostril
Yep.
because you want to be balanced. You can't just do rape in one nostril. You'll be totally off balance. Typically we say that our the right side of our body is our masculine side and the left side is our feminine side. And so, we want to have balance between both. And so then we did the rape on the other side and Dale was totally balanced. And from what I saw, was kind of off in his own world. He was just like, "Wah,"
Yeah. Yeah. For a good half hour, I was like in
yeah,
that new world of experience that, and again, it's not like you're tripping or anything. It's just your mind quiets, right? And you become more aware of like nature and like you're kind of more tuned into your actual environment instead of the crazy of you.
exactly, exactly. And that is a beautiful thing that I like about the rape is that it does quiet the mind, to where everything kind of turns off, and you're like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
You can just be finally alone with you and not have all of the parts of you that are usually inside your head, like, all talking. Everybody inside of you kind of gets quiet and is at peace, and even with the rape ceremony, it's a sacred ceremony. It's not, rape is not a psychedelic, but it is a sacred medicine. And so it is a sacred ceremony. Typically with the sacred ceremonies, as I'm holding the space, we use copal, we use incense, we use sage, we clean the area around you. Like during the rape ceremony, I'm going around with the copal, and the sound bowls and the singing and the mantra. And so it's all kind of there. And it's just a beautiful type of ceremony. And that's just the beginning. That's just opening night, right? And for those of you that haven't seen the before and after pictures of Dale's opening night rape ceremony, you've got to see them. They're posted on our socials, and I mean, it's really pretty incredible. Just from one ceremony, you can see like it's like the muscles in his face, like they just relaxed, It was like all this, he came in and he's like, oh, like just looks really tired and kind of haggard, like, just well, I mean, he had been through a lot before he arrived here. I mean, a lot of things have happened in his life, especially that in the days prior to coming. And so, and all of that could be read, in his body language. And man, after the rape ceremony, your face was like, I mean, it was like glowing, it
Like
was like
10 years younger.
incredible. Oh
I,
yeah.
I was not expecting for that to appear physically on me in that way. And throughout the week, I just kept getting younger and younger. And like I was looking in the mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's happening here? I seriously kept getting younger as the retreat was going on, and that was not expected.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things, especially about the combo, is it not only does it cure the body of disease and toxins and all that jazz. You can read more about combo on the Merkaba.mx website. Just go to combo and you can read all about combo, which is an Amazonian tree frog, not a psychedelic, but it is full of 9 peptides that heal the body, the mind, and the spirit,
Yeah.
but primarily the body. And yeah, with the combo, it takes years off your life because we store all of our trauma and our pain muscularly, cellularly in our bodies. And when that's purged, yeah, it takes 10 years off your life. I remember when I came back from my first retreat and people said, "Oh my God, you look 10 years younger." And I'm like, "Well, thank you." Yeah, and but yeah, it's true. And I felt 10, I mean, I felt I got felt 30 years, 40 years younger. I was like, ready
Yeah.
for that. But yes, it was beautiful. But back to like your just what you said about, out in the real world, there are people that come to me and say, I haven't had good experiences on psychedelics. And I said, well, did you do your psychedelics with the shaman in a sacred ceremony setting? And they said, no. And I said, well, it's very different. It's very different when you have someone who's experienced and who knows how to hold sacred energetic space around you and who knows how to keep you protected and safe. And you're cleansed energetically, before the ceremony, but before every ceremony starts. There's a cleansing, there's a purification of your aura, there's a purification of your body. And so, as you progress through the retreat and you use the various medicines like combo or the bufo or the psilocybin, your body, mind, and spirit are ready for those experiences because you purged the darkness essentially. And so that's why, people that come on our retreats, they don't they I haven't ever heard of anyone that said, "Oh my God, I had a very scary, dark experience when I did that medicine." It just doesn't happen because the way that the retreat has been put together, with the combination of like yoga and meditation and breath work and sound healing and then of course the medicine, it just everything works synergistically to really allow you to have a beautiful experience, right?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. And it made sense to me why we were doing each thing that led up to the next thing. It's not like you just go in and bam, you're like, into this full time. Like there's a slow progression of kind of walking you through and cleansing you and preparing you for all of this. And it's like going to an amazing like sound bath and how you just vibrationally feel different afterwards. Like each door that you get walked through like just brings you higher and higher and higher in your vibration to the time when the retreat is over. I have never felt like I have stood in my power, in my personal power, in the same way that I have after that, because all my trauma was gone, all the noise was gone, like, and again, looking back on it, has made so much sense why the retreat progresses in the steps that it does.
So I'd like us to get into each of your medicine experiences and talk to the world about what those were like. But I
Yeah,
think we should probably do that in another interview because that's going to take some time and
sure.
maybe break it up. Because during the retreat, you typically do 3 or 4 combos, 3 or 4 bufos, and then one psilocybin ceremony. And so every ceremony is a little bit different. And I would love for Dale to share what he would like to about those various ceremonies. But for now and today, since we're just getting back into it, I want to ask you what has been the greatest gift or takeaway from your entire week here?
Oh, am I supposed to answer this without crying?
Cry all
It's
you want. Cry all you want.
yeah, I mean, just like it wasn't healing the trauma. It was an entire paradigm shift away from a world where trauma even exists. And again, like my generational trauma was so heavy just from, my mother's story and my grandparents' story, all of whom were operating in very, very, very dense vibrations of abuse and trauma themselves. So, for me, the greatest thing has been just getting rid of all the mental garbage to the point where it doesn't exist. And I've reframed all of my story around that. And healing your story heals you. It liberates you from that. I was able to see how my mother, who was just hideous to me often throughout my life, really did her best. And she was the one who was the most active in and who fought the hardest for me, and that she, within the container of what options she had, did her best. And she was a rebel in her own way, breaking down, barriers that she herself was dealing with. And through these medicines, like I had the opportunity to sit and visit with my ancestors and lineage in a way that I mean, had never been explained to me before. And while, I've done a lot of work around that, it's not all the talk therapy and stuff. It's experiential. And so you get to really sit with that and with them, oddly enough, in an experience facilitated in real love and healing where like I always saw my family as not safe. And I ran away, from a really young age, and I never looked back. And I was completely abandoned by my family, to the point where they were unable or unwilling to send me Christmas and birthday cards for the majority of my teens and 20s. Like, that's the relationship I had with them. And yet, after this, I mean, I don't hold anything negative towards them. I understand them differently. And I understand myself differently too. Like, stepping into that level of personal power is a total game changer. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. The personal power for me, I describe as whether, my problems are bigger than me or am I bigger than my problems, right? And my problems are almost non-existent. So I have the clarity of mind to choose new paths, new directions, new options that before would have seemed scary or too big, or, like I was really stepping out of like my own personal options. And that's just no longer true. That's been the biggest game changer, is just the health of my thoughts, the health of my mind. Like, we in the Western world have abandoned something really sacred. And in recapturing that, your attuneness, right, your alignment with nature and God, has been a complete paradigm shift for me, and, just the way I experience the world.
Yeah, and it's so hard to describe all of the gifts, right, from your week in 5 minutes
Yeah.
because and that's why you're writing a book about it, yes?
Yes, I am. I mean, it was
Tell us
such a
about that.
game changer because I was so excited, not only just excited about it, but I also wanted to give my personal account of like going through all of this and stepping up to the threshold. And because it's one thing to like offer something to some god or deity or entity, but it's another thing to offer yourself, to offer your body, to say, okay, I mean, let's do this. I am here and I offer myself, my body, my experience, my mind, my everything, to that which I don't know and seems frightening because I don't know anything about this. And so I wanted to write kind of a perspective of my own ignorance, stepping up to those thresholds, and to help prepare other Westerners who don't understand what, indigenous sacred plant and earth medicines are, to help them and encourage them, and to really prepare them and their mind for the experience that they're about to have. Because this is like, it'll change everything for you. It really does. I mean, I don't even know how to describe the magnitude of change that it facilitates for you in your learning and your spirit.
Well, we can't wait for that book to come out. What's the name of it?
Antiseptic Moron, a
Ancestral.
Westerner's Guide to Sacred Plant and Earth Medicines.
I love it. I love it. I cannot wait until that comes out. So you'll have to keep us posted for sure. Super excited about that. And let's see. Hmm. Oh. One more question. One more question before we wrap it up today. If someone were to come to you and say, I've been thinking about doing a retreat like this, but I just don't think I can afford it. I don't think I can afford the money that it costs to get to Mexico to pay for the retreat. I don't think that I can take the time off work. I just don't know, but I really think I could. I really think I could use this retreat. Well, what might you say to them?
Well, I'd say, first of all, you're being called, and you're being called, and you got to listen to that because it's speaking to you in a way, at least it did for me. Like, I was feeling like, okay, I think I need to do this. But again, you get into all this Western mindset of lack and limitation. Like, I can't afford it. I can't take the time off. Stop that. because this will improve all of that. Like, this is the paradigm shift to which opens the door to endless abundance, to wealth, to like all the other things will be unlocked. But you got to do this part first. And don't let fear and limitation like stand in your way. Make it happen for yourself because it will shift completely all the money stuff, all the time management stuff, all of your relationships in the world. And from there, then you can start to really live in abundance and again, like get rid of all of this lack that's like chattering in your ear, that's limiting your options and your life in the world. Like, do this first, prioritize this first, and all else will change after that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and you're making an investment in your future. You know, this is an investment and it's actually a pretty inexpensive investment if you think about it. You know, our retreats, you know, they range in price depending on where we have them, but you know, they typically will range from like $4,444 for a group retreat to a private one-on-one retreat that costs around $5,555. But it all that also depends, you know, every group and every retreat is a little bit different, but that's probably the range. But you know, you're looking at a week stay, all inclusive. Accommodations are provided, your main meals are provided, transportation is provided, all the medicines are provided, you know, expert facilitation is provided. You get prep and integration sessions, you know, that are provided. There are massages, there's sound healing, there's yoga. I mean, everything is essentially provided for that fee. The only thing that you'll have to pay for out of pocket is your airline ticket to get here,
Right.
right? And so we also have a scholarship program. We offer full and partial scholarships, you know, on a limited basis. Based on financial need and motivation and the willingness to be part of this experience. You can find more information about that on our website at merkabaretreats.com under scholarships. Since Merkaba has begun offering retreats in January of 2025, we have offered 4 full scholarships to our retreats and 1 partial scholarship to our retreats. And so, you know, we want this to be available to all people, regardless of what financial background you come from. And of course, scholarship participants, you know, they agree to be a brand ambassador and to share about the retreats with the world and to carry the message of what they've learned out into the world. And also our, you know, we have a really cool, robust alumni program where once you become alumni, you can then come back and assist on future retreats. And you can also talk to potential people that are interested in coming on a retreat. So if you or anyone you know would like to come on a retreat, you know, you can speak with Dale directly. He can share his experience with you. I have also other retreat participants and alumni who would love to share their experience with you as well. So you're not always hearing it from me, but you're hearing it from actually people who've been through the process. And so all of that is available to you. We also offer payment plans. You know, I mean, think about it. You know, if you were to do weekly therapy for 10 years, you would spend over $100,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And most likely, at least it was for me after 10 years, I was still peeling back the layers of the onion after 10 years, right? Coming here, we don't work with the layers of the onion. We go right to the core of the onion, and you return home after 6 days with no onion for
Yes.
$5,000,
Yeah. And is
not
that tax
$100,000.
deductible?
It is tax deductible. It is. Your retreat fees are considered offerings to the Merkaba Church, which is the our parent of the Merkaba Retreats. And you can learn more about the Merkaba Church on the merkabaretreats.com website as well. Not your typical church, a little more enlightened than we tend to think when we hear the word church. So don't be scared by church.
Yeah.
Go to our website and read about us. I think you will like what you find, and you know, we would love to have you here. And Dale would love to share with you more about his experience. So
I
Reach
really,
out to him too. He's going.
yeah. Well, Christopher, I can't thank you enough. This really has been a game changer in my life. I'm so excited about it. Like I said, I'm writing a book, which I'm going to be pitching to a literary agent here soon. I'm just so thrilled for everything you facilitated for me. I can never thank you enough. And the fact that, we get to do all of this as a tax break is just incredible. And so I'm so grateful for you and everything that you've done for me. Thank you.
You're so welcome. It was an honor. It's an honor to be able to continue serving the kingdom together and all of our other adventures. And we'll
Yes.
talk more about those another day. But thanks for having me again. I love you, and I just wish you the best day ever.
Thank you. Love you too. All right.